Alright, so this is the next little update, another week. I just started. So what we've done, let me explain you. Because I removed this cross member here, because like you've seen before, I need that space for the engine to be moved forward quite a lot, about 4 inches from what it was before. I say I have to make another cross member which is slightly more forward and will actually make a good base to make gearbox mounts. So I've done it from there, top of the chassis, in the middle, because this has to be that high, because we don't have much space there, you see. You got about half an inch of space between the cross member and the gearbox. Now the gearbox is not going to be in this position, it's going to be slightly lower, by 5 mil maybe, because once you put the engine mounts bushes, it's going to drop with his own engine, or with his own weight, sorry. And that was going to give us a little bit more space there, very safe, because when you accelerate with this stuff, they're going to push this way and the gearbox is gonna lift. So I don't want that gearbox to hit that cross member in full acceleration. And remember, we're going for the big power on this. It's not huge power, obviously, but from 1.9, and the weight of this car is going to be quite a lot, because this thing, it used to be about 160. And now it doesn't seem a lot, but trust me, from the 1.9 and 160, together with the torque figures, it feels like over 200 brakes, and this thing flies because it's so light, like I said before. So now we're gonna double the power, double the torque. So let's make everything safe. So the way this, let me just grab one of the bushes, which is one of these, which is original Passat. The way it works. Let me explain on this side. It just looks slightly different, but same principle. So these actually fit in there. There you go, sorry. There you go, you see? You got 2 bolts there, 2 bolts there. They actually rest on it, so there's nothing, so they're not actually relying on the bolts. The bolts, they're actually only there to keep this in place. And then from there, you drop the bolt from the top. It's gonna be here, and you hang the gearbox. Obviously, we need another bracket from here to there, piece of tube and the long bolt. So pretty much like a original one. The only thing is the original one, they actually sit down there and then rest on the top. But it is exactly the same principle, because this, even if the rubber breaks, this will never come off, because you have this section here is one part with this. So even if this rubber inside breaks, you see the little cracks there, even if it breaks, this will only rest on the rest of the rubber or the rest of the mount. So there's no risk of this coming off or breaking, and you drop the transfer case, the gearbox on the floor or anything. So this is very safe way to do it. Yeah, the cross member is attached to the chassis with these reinforcements. Obviously, it's welded both sides on the outside and in very little bit, because although the chassis is very clean, but on top there I could just not clean it properly, because you have 2 layers there. So you only clean in the surface, but in between there is always some paint, some protection or zinc, whatever it is. And when you try to weld it, you see it looks like crap. So there's not really a big point. That's why I make this. So it's stronger than we need. Engine gearbox mounts, again, they're stronger than we need. Well, the engine mounts, you've seen it before, they look a bit ugly, because it's very like an industrial structure, very ugly, but it is very strong. It works nicely. Now, at some point I say, because I recycled actually these from the old cross member, I should just chop them here and then maybe close them, just make something nicer. But if you look at from behind, they actually almost in a perfect position to put an anti-roll bar, because you can make like a U-joint here, well, U-piece with the bush, and put the anti-roll bar, make some attachments on this side. And I think that's what we're gonna do, because although these things they don't really handle great, but there's quite a bit of roll. Obviously, it's got a pop-up roof, a bit more weight on the top. So Nick was complaining about, yeah, if this thing rolls a little bit less, it will handle actually much better. And originally they don't have any anti-roll bars, neither on the front, neither on the back. So I think that's another thing we're gonna do somehow. So yeah, these things are gonna leave them there and try to attach the anti-roll bar to the suspension. It's gonna be just here, you know, under the engine, but we've got plenty of space there. It's not gonna catch all the sample or anything, so it could be a good solution. We'll see. Obviously, it's all dirty. I would prefer, well, I wish I had more brains at the time and took the car to the jet wash and clean it all in and out, because now I have to work with this mess. Obviously now, because this stuff is almost finished, I finished to weld a couple of more things, a couple of more reinforcements here and there, and get the engine out, because the engine will have to be, you see, it's all dirty everywhere. You see, it's a mess everywhere. The pump has to be replaced because it's leaking oil, and actually that oil from the inside here goes into the brake servo pipe, which is not really ideal, so we have to service that or replace it. But one way or another, this engine has to come off from here, and I'm gonna steam clean it outside, nice and clean, proper, and then I have to strip down the head because we're changing the injectors. I think we're going for 100 or 120% more, so I think that will be good enough, because I think the 100% more, they give you up to 315 brakes. My idea is never to max out the injectors. I would prefer to have a bigger injectors and make them run at 80% of efficiency top. So that's what I'm hoping for. What I'm hoping for is to have a very short injection time, you know, bigger pressure but short injection time. If you have injection time too long, I suspect the EGT is going to go high. It's not as efficient as it should be. So yeah, I think we're going to go for the bigger ones that we need. I don't think we're going to exceed 300 brakes, not with a turbo. Nick was saying that 270 to 80, that'll be plenty for him. He doesn't want any more, but I think that's bollocks. If this thing is going to make like 315, we can lower it to 290 or 300. But to be honest, I don't want to predict any numbers. It doesn't really matter. We see what happens on a dyno, and then he's going to test it and see what he thinks, you know, and then we're going to adjust it up to whatever he wants. I will just run it whatever he makes, you know? And it is up to your right foot, whatever you want to use. Again, 300 maybe doesn't sound too big, but trust me, these engines, they make loads of torque. And when you combine 300 brakes with 600 units of torque, it feels like much more than 300 brakes. So, and still 50-55 miles per gallon. Great. All right, I'll see you in a bit. So gearbox mounts finished. This is how they look like. Obviously needs painting and all that stuff. Well, all this crap needs cleaning first. I want to steam clean it properly. But however, this is how they look like. T45. I had some pieces of bends already made from the old roll cage I've buried. I don't know, maybe there was a mistake. I don't know, they were there lying around. This bends already, so I use this T45 still to make the rest of it. And like I explained before, this is very safe and strong. The only thing that surprised me quite a lot, I was actually expecting this when I removed the strap that was holding the gearbox down there. And I was expecting them to drop, like I say, about 5-6 mil, and they actually didn't. They dropped by 1.5 mil top, fairly strong. I mean, you can barely move them. So this is good news. I'm just hoping they're not gonna go up and too much, because obviously when you accelerate, this is gonna turn forward, and we'll try to clog the gearbox this way, and so we're lifting the tail of the box. And like I said, there's not much space there, you see. It's not very little, but I think that's enough. That's plenty. I think it should be plenty, but I have to keep an eye on this. Once we've finished, I can maybe notch a little bit of there, or put some couple of spaces there maybe to drop it down if necessary. But I think it should be all right. Like I say, they're much stiffer than I remembered, so that's good news actually. Yeah, this side is finished as well. Make a couple of reinforcements. It's nice and solid here. I still have to make a couple of spaces here, obviously tubes, one here, one there, because this fuckers, all these mods, 1, 2, 3 and 4, they're all on a different level. None of them match them. None of them is on the same level. I was expecting this one to be the same level as this, and it's not, and this one is not with this one. Otherwise, I would just make a plate that goes straight, angle and straight, but you know, not really possible. So I'll make it this way, make it easier. And I think it's pretty strong as well. So next we got to install some of this stuff, get the engine out and clean this shit, steam clean it properly. Can't wait. And obviously put this turbo on it. That's GT2260V. Beautiful.